I might just be falling into the the pattern of thinking that anybody younger than me is living a very different life. Like your parents are going to think you had it way different than your grandparents, that your parents had it. That sort of thought process, right? I mean, as soon as regular ass Mac computers jumped onto the scene, I mean, we're talking Y2K was a legit, actually freaking concern. But I think it's getting a little extra wild now. To the point where I think exerting a little bit of extra control over at least making sure you're not completely sucked into your phone. It's way too bright. I gotta put the glasses back on. But not being completely sucked into your phone all day freaking long. It's something to consider. I'm not talking about giving yourself parental locks so you only need 30 minutes. That might work. Who's to say exactly? But at least make sure that a small portion, just an hour, maybe even 30 minutes if it's a quick lift, plus the occasional session of cardio gets done every now and then. I've said this quite a few times. There's a certain pretentiousness that I think we have, because we're just as like an organism so smart, we can play on computers and everything else, that it kind of, you give a guy a Nintendo Switch, he's probably not going to want to run around or, do the Stairmaster or sit on a seated bike or work out. He's like, shit, man, this is it right here. Right? This is the point of being alive. So that's taking it to an extreme, but I guess all I'm trying to say is, make sure you get your hour of play in, right? Whether that's, hooping, lifting, running, cycling. Let's say you're one of those guys who likes to, put your suit on and you've got like a 12-pound elite $4,000, carbon fiber bike frame, and that's your thing. Does not matter. Right. But as long as you get your heart rate up, that's something I think we can all get behind. Even if you don't want to be a die-hard, insane, massive kind of bodybuilding character, shit, man, you're still a freaking alive, right? You got to move around. But plan for today with back, definitely going to focus a bit more on squeezing, kind of deeper stretch base movements rather than really trying to up and make sure I'm throwing a lot of weight around, just because I can tell the last few lifts I've been doing were a bit more weight centric. So now this is the yang, this is the water flowing back into the ocean before it comes crashing in to a massive wave again. I think it's I couldn't tell you the exact ratio, but in terms of heavy crazy sets to lighter squeezing sets, I'd say we're looking at maybe 50, honestly, probably as close as to 50-50 as you can get, the better, right? I think someone who only tries to, just lift as much as they can every set, no matter what, is pretty close-minded. And I think the guy who is always like, oh, you gotta just, be efficient with make the weight heavier by the way you do the reps and just, control it and don't go, I think he's a bit close-minded too, right? It's this middle ground where, the enlightened character can say, all right, look, I can appreciate the benefits of both approaches and reap the rewards by implementing each, in their time, right? There's a place for crazy heavy bent over barbell rows. There's also a place for light squeezing, more kind of burning, seated like crossover cable rows with a wide bar. You know what I'm saying? So either way, I can guarantee within, since it's just back, once I'm warmed up and I, start working set number 1, this lift is not going to take more than 30 minutes. Well, we'll see. Yeah, but I mean, just do the math, right? Let's say, let's be crazy. Let's say 10 sets, right? Let's say you got a 10 set back day. A set itself might take a minute-ish, and that's even kind of like a longer set. 2 minutes of rest in between, then do another one. It's 30 minutes, right? If you've got a 10 set workout and you're in the gym for, an hour and a half, and you're not like done and talking. Like, you're still mid-workout. Right? That makes me interested in doing a little bit of a what's the word I'm thinking of? A little bit of an audit of just exactly how you're spending your time during these workouts, you know? Because some of these guys are going to say, well, if you're in the gym more than an hour, you're not doing it right. You know, I think sometimes that's a little too old school, not nuanced enough of a take. But, you know, I get the sentiment, right? Chest is not supposed to take 2 hours. You know, honestly, if I tried to do a chest day that was like, you know, a consistent workload that did take 2 hours, I feel like I'd be, I feel like I'd be pumped up and like ready to be done at like let's just say around the 45, maybe 50-ish minute mark. And then anything else just kind of feels like it might be fluff junk, you know, but, you know, to each their own. That's all I'm trying to get at. So let's just make this back day happen and see how wide I can spread these things. Let's start with this pull down, and this is a little extra fancy. Could not tell you exactly why. Yeah, I don't know, right? Because I mean, I may as well be doing a regular ass pull down. You know, there's nothing. Does it even converge? Yeah, there's no converging, no nothing. I mean, my hands are the same distance apart the whole way around, so it's not like so much different than a regular pull down, but something about the fact that it's like, oh, well, I mean, let's just kind of look. You know, the fact that it's at this angle means at the top, it's not only pulling my arms up, but also backward, you know, kind of like pullover-ish. And as I pull down, I'm not just pulling straight down, I'm kind of doing this arcing action, which is very, well, I mean, it just feels laddish. You know, it's like you're a freaking swimmer. That's the reason why they're like smacking their lats around. It's because they're always doing like this kind of, you know, sort of pulling motion. But either way, I feel this a lot in my outer lats. Like I'm talking right under here in my armpit where it's like spreads out. And that's what I want. Honestly, for me, back-wise, I don't think I'm too lacking in the thickness game. At least, you know, for my size. What I really want is more width. You know, I want my lats to freaking spread out. When, you know, I do a front double bi, they're creeping out to like the middle of my tricep. You know, obviously not that far, but that's what I'm aiming for. So let's get this set started. Alright, come on. See. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, one more. See. See. Okay. Whew. All right. Let's switch to a seated row. So still heavy. I mean, this is the stack. So, I need a freaking force measuring scale. I'm talking like something I can cook the carabiner to, so I can really feel just how much force this is. But either way, I really like this setup. Seat, cable at, well, actually, ooh. Okay, yeah. This is cable at the lowest setting, wide-ish grip. I'm not talking grabbing the rubber balls, but just where the handle kind of starts to bend. So what is that? Maybe 1.5, 1 5/8 shoulder width. But sitting here and really getting the squeeze. I'm talking I want my elbows to come all the way around my back, bump each other, hold it, and then let my shoulders roll forward and totally stretch out my traps, right? It's, I mean, it's kind of a weird thing to imagine, because when you're doing your lats, like here they're in their, I guess, kind of contracted position. This would be like totally contracted. And then the more you get up here, the more they're stretched. Traps, similar, but you know, there's no arm motion as much. It's more where your shoulders are positioned. So this would be traps fully contracted, and then this is them like fully opened up, you know. So I'm trying not to move my spine back and forth, you know, and lean, but I do want my shoulders to feel like they're really stretching out my traps. Just going back and forth between as deep of a stretch as I can and a crazy squeeze. Because for a lighter set like this, I think that's a little more important. You know, if I just had like double this amount of weight and I'm just kind of pumping them out, the tension in my lats is way more intense. Then, you know, making sure I get a perfect stretch and contraction, not so important, I feel. Obviously it's important, but it's, you know, I think you get the gist of what I'm saying. But let's get this started. All right, come on. Yeah. Okay. Ooh, one more of those. Ooh. Okay. Let's just keep it simple. Single arm pullovers. I'm talking, let's do 10 reps on each side and then switch. So 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10 until I'm totally freaking burnt out. Let's see. That might even be a little too heavy. There we go. Yeah. Holy crap. Just one light squeezing set of wide-ish grip pull downs, and that'll be enough for today. And this is a little bit more chill of a lift compared to typical. Doing a little deload these next few days. Ooh. Ooh, all right. Let's see how we're looking. All right. Decently sweaty. Let's do a little, let's do a little through the shirt lat spread. See how the thickness is looking. And overall, I'm feeling pretty good. But it's, actually not but, yes. That's kind of what I'm really interested in right now is, just kind of how these lifts feel. Just how pumped I am, how much I can kind of connect and squeeze and just feel everything that I'm into. Because it's not so looks focused, you know what I'm saying? I mean, how freaky my lat spread is, it translates to when I'm dieted, but not as much in terms of bulks to cut. I'm in a very different shape than I will be in just a few months. Oh. Oh, goodness. Yeah, let's see. You can kind of see it from way over there. Let's see. Yeah, we get something going on. Oh, man. Even holding a back pose right now is getting freaking tricky. But good lift. A little quicker, a little more, or let's say a little less damaging. But this is, I'll think of a better analogy in the car. But let's get out of here. Yeah, that was solid. Yeah, I'm getting extra excited about being able to peel down in the coming months. Because you might not think it, right? Usually I'm one to say, if you want to look big, I'm talking carbed up, full of food, just physically large. That's kind of the trick, right? It's a pretty straightforward method. But, don't forget the leanness effect, Once my waist starts kind of tapering in, because guys, at least, typical body fat distribution, it's very centered, right? It's kind of right around the core, I'm talking butt, back, sides, stomach. That's pretty much where it's all at. And, that kind of sucks, because that's the complete opposite of where you'd want it if you'd want to maintain, kind of like an actual sort of, Dorito looking taper of thinner waist, bigger shoulders, broader legs, So that's just, you can look at it as a drawback, or you can look at it as a motivating factor of, all right, shit, if I lose 10 pounds, sure, I'm going to be 10 pounds leaner, but it's also going to make me look, maybe 10 pounds bigger, because then your shoulders are going to be larger in proportion to, however wide, your midsection is, So as much as it's, kind of just a game of, who's got bigger arms than who, shit, man, It's all kind of in relation to everything else, right? I mean, if you put big ass tires on the Camry, it's gonna look freaking weird. If you put big ass tires on a truck, totally normal, makes a little bit more sense. So that's a little bit of the feng shui of, making sure everything's at least in decent proportion, because it just kind of all plays together. If you're the type of guy where your legs are seriously falling behind compared to your upper body, I'm talking like you do not hit legs, no question about it. You're a back, chest, shoulders, arms kind of guy, and that's the end of that situation. Yeah, you got a funky look to you, right? We've all seen the jokes where it's a dude who legit has chicken legs, and it could be avoided. I guess you could hide it. You can hide it forever. Never take your pants off. Just always wear baggy sweats. That could work for a period of time, right? But that's, that's like cleaning your room, but all you did was throw everything under your bed and into the closet, right? It might look good at first glance, but as soon as you start to get in depth and actually see what's going on, things will begin to fall apart rather quickly, So that's my take. And I've taken it even a few steps further, where I used to be like, okay, I gotta hit every muscle group there is. I mean, I've never had it directly in my routine, but I've done some neck training before. I'm talking like hold a 10-pound plate on the side of your head and lean side to side, do a front to back sort of thing. Doing tibia raises, that's the front of your shin. I've done a substantial amount of those before, and I mean, it worked. I do think that you can kind of add little bits of muscle here and there, but I think as long as you're hitting everything in decent equilibrium, you're solid, right? No need to freak out, and make sure you're hitting your brachioradialis and your brachialis and your bicep major and your tricep minor. Get a pump, go home, eat something, and make sure that's your top priority. But plan now, keep getting some food into me. We're in the home stretch of this off season, and then I'm excited to get lean again. But until then, I gotta keep beefing up just a little bit more. So I think that's all I got. A little more of a chill back day, but I'll see you for whatever I end up doing for arms tomorrow.